come to work about 6 o'clock in the evening, and you leave work about 7 o'clock in the morning. And you do that for a few days in a row. And right now, it's, what is it, midnight? I don't know, 12:30, something like that.
And how are you, Paris?
Much better now. We're even.
Something to drink, Miss Carver?
Mr. Bond will have a vodka martini, shaken, not stirred.
Mrs. Carver will have a tequila. Straight shot.
No, Mrs. Carver will have a glass of Mr. Carver's champagne.
My husband said, oh, you have to do it because I have to live out my fantasy of being married to a Bond girl, you know? So I figured the very least I could do was for my husband, I could give him that so that when we're 80, he can go, but she was a hot cookie. She used to be a Bond girl.
0500 hours at Stansted Airport. Long before the commercial flyers start clogging the skies, Bond receives his latest weapons consignment from long-suffering gadgetmeister Q.
I give him all these wonderful gadgets. They take years and years to prepare, to understand. What does he do? Treats them with disdain.
Right, now pay attention, 007.
Steady showtime.
Right, now pay attention, 007. Your new car. Your new BMW 750. All the usual refinements. Machine guns, rockets.
It's one way to fight traffic.
Oh, they're all the usual sort of stuff which I don't understand. And so, I mean, it's got a 20,000 volt security system or whatever. What the hell that means, I haven't a clue. I'm allergic to gadgets. Well, they're allergic to me. I can't make them work at all.
And this I'm particularly proud of. The remote control for your car. Tap twice. 1, 2. Now, draw your finger very slowly across the pad to drive the car. It's surprisingly difficult to drive, but with practice...
Well, let's see how she responds to my touch, AQ. My hero. That's me.
From eastern England, where the biting wind sweeps in from the Urals, 6,000 miles and a 6-hour time change to the sweltering city of Bangkok in Thailand. When 007 comes to town, the media aren't far behind.
I come here every other week. Yes. Quietly, though. Quietly.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bond, James Bond, Mr. Pierce Brosnan.
James Bond is an international household name, and Pierce Brosnan slips neatly into the role of roving ambassador. Today, some of the questions are loaded. Why Bangkok? What happened to Hanoi?
We were all set to go. We were at the airport. We were going to Singapore and then on to Saigon.
But things didn't work out there, although we went on several trips there and for a time had a unit setting up there.
And we sat in the airport for about an hour and thought, well, we ought to go back to town and figure it out. And I think I realized then that if we did that, we'd probably never get there. We certainly wouldn't get the film started on time.
So we decided we had to find very similar locations.
We made about 20 calls from mobile phones and went straight to Bangkok, and it was true. 3 days later, we'd found all our locations, the entire crew, and we were back in business.
Top priority in Bangkok is a flat-out, no-holds-barred motorbike chase, with 007 hounded through the busy streets and even across rooftops, while manacled to co-star Michelle Yeoh.
I think the only thing that we're suffering from right now is the incredible heat.
Last week it was 110, and the actual shoes, if you have a look at my shoes here, the sole melted off them, you see that? It melted and slipped right across.
Hundreds of gallons of water are on hand daily to prevent dehydration setting in. Avoiding the blistering sun can be tricky. Some resort to more unorthodox methods.
Doing action movies, you know, you do stuff that you would not be able to do normally. I mean, you wouldn't be riding a bike, you know, this great, huge bike on rooftops. Now, that was a real experience.
Helicopter! All right, keep your shirt on.
That was awesome, okay? It was so much fun. It's actually not as painful as I thought it would be because, you know, we're going all down and up and down all those bumps. And when you catch it on the wrong timing, it can just like give you a knock on your backside where it's really painful.
Her coccyx is actually dent in the tank. You see nice dinner plate dents in the tank, which is her bum.
The key motorcycle moves are performed by Frenchman Jean-Pierre Goy, with intrepid British stuntwoman Wendy Leach riding pillion.
Phenomenal. We couldn't shoot it without him, absolutely. The things he does. He's sliding it sideways at 70 miles an hour for, you know, 80, 90 feet and doing wheelies.
The 1200cc machine weighs 250 kilos, and the manufacturer swore he'd never lifted onto its rear wheel. But for Jean-Pierre, who holds the world wheelie record of an incredible 6 hours, the impossible takes that little bit longer.
I think you're getting better than that.
There we go. Jean-Pierre,
Merci.
Although relishing a marginal temperature drop at night, the filmmakers cannot pause even in the suffocating humidity. Until on the eve of the monsoon season, tropical storms force a temporary time-out.
Very frustrating. The hours tick by, the daylight disappears. You know you've got to be out of the city in 5 days flat. And it was a scramble. It was a real scramble, but somehow we did it.
Miles south, they strike better weather in the exotic Thai Islands. An emotional return to what was the villain's lair 23 years earlier in The Man with the Golden Gun. Like most Bond locations, it's now a popular tourist attraction.
Yeah, it'll be nice, right? Yeah. We should shoot right now.
He knows the islands. He says they all avoid it.
But for 5,000 American dollars, he'll take us.
Good. Maybe he'll take a check.
Bags and guns packed, the weary troops prepare for a 12-hour flight home to England. Did somebody mislay the air tickets? It looks like Asia all over again. But this bustling cityscape is merely a facade, supported by more than 60 miles of scaffolding, for scenes far too dangerous to be filmed above teeming public streets. Noon at the new Bond studio, and the special effects team is building a huge cushion of cardboard boxes. In prospect, a 70 miles per hour, 90-foot motorbike jump from this third-floor balcony over a hovering helicopter before plunging through the roof of the apartment building opposite.
I find the good speed and the good distance. All is okay.
To complete his meticulous preparations, Jean-Pierre Goy walks the course one last time. A clear and present danger is that the intense heat from the bike's exhaust could turn the boxes into an inferno. The entire film company is on tenterhooks.
3, 2, 1, action!
Another 6,000 miles and 8 time zones southwest, instead of night at Rosarito in Mexico. Precision scale models of boats and planes are used for scenes when the real thing could hardly be destroyed. Particularly a frontline Royal Naval frigate.
There are scenes which take place on one of Her Majesty's frigates, and the Royal Navy were kind enough to allow us to shoot on one, but they didn't have a good enough sense of humour to let us sink one. So when it comes to sinking a ship, obviously we have to revert to other methods, model being the best way of doing it. The tank itself holds 17 million gallons of water. It's about 800 feet across and 500 feet from front to back. Then in the middle of that tank, there's a deep water tank, so we can do all the underwater sequences as well.
Once the 55-foot model is settled on the tank's seabed, it takes at least 36 hours to fill the giant bathtub. Tea time in England. Michelle Yeoh limbers up for the first of a number of martial arts showdowns, for which she's already a screen legend in Asia and beyond. Each move is carefully choreographed and rehearsed, down to the last lunge. Street fight survivors of a host of John Woo and Jackie Chan movies are drafted in from Hong Kong to join the Bond bandwagon.
If you look at all the old James Bond movies, the style of fighting is completely different from what you're going to see in this movie. And to do that, we had to bring over this stunt choreographer called Philip Kwok. He's very good with movement, the intensity of movement, you know, where the hits, the punches, where the climax is to a fight sequence. So I was very, very lucky Philip Kwok and his team came out.
On neighbouring A stage, Pierce Brosnan is in more conventional 007 mode, but still not sticking exactly to the Marquis of Queensberry rules.
soundproof room. Nobody hears you scream. Herr Stamper.
In a sense, however, it is exactly events
Make
like
him
these
uncomfortable.
that cause me to create
I'll be
the
there in a few
Carver Media
moments.
Group. A promise to my
Every mega-villain needs his hitman, and 6'6" Gots Otto joins an elite club whose members include Oddjob, Xenia Onatop, and the diminutive Knick Knack.
One of the remarkable villains, for sure, is Richard Keeler's Jaws. I'm not as tall as him, but I'm trying to do my best.
Drop it, Mr. Bond, or I drop your friend.
It's over, Stamper. Let her go.
Every single person got its bad sides and its black sides. And I think it's fun to look where they are and express them and show them to the camera.
I owe you an unpleasant death, Mr. Bond.
It's more fun beating up people than getting beaten up, so.
Fahrkärtchen drin?
Ja, mein Büro hat ein Auto reserviert.
Einen Moment bitte.
Dankeschön.
If you just sign here, Mr. Bond. It's the insurance damage waiver for your beautiful new car. Will you need collision coverage?
Yes.
Fire?
Probably.
Property destruction?
Definitely.
Personal injury?
I hope not, but accidents do happen.
They frequently do with you.
Do I need any other protection?
Only from B007, unless you bring that car back in pristine order. Shall we?
Shall we indeed.
The BMW 750i is to be used in a dramatic car park chase, and the shooting script calls for it to be powered by remote control. Final tests are carried out on the ultimate optional extra for the dedicated backseat driver.